Hey everyone, it's Heather Nichols, and today I have a set of birthday cards to share that I created with the previously released Create & Quads Hooray Layering Stencil Set. The key to creating these birthday-themed cards are the new Foil It Hooray birthday panels. The panels are designed to work perfectly with the Create & Quads Hooray set. I'll show you how easy it is to omit the graduation caps from the one quadrant of the stencils, and that will allow you to use the panel with the birthday cakes to create a birthday design. I'm using gold deco foil and my Mink machine to foil the designs on the Foil It panels, and then I'll be using pixie spray to hold my stencils in place. For ink colors, I'm using Guava, Granny Smith, and Macaron. And I also have my coordinating blender brushes. For dies, I'll be using the Stitched Rectangle Stacklets die collection and the Petite Scallop Rectangle Stacklets die collection. And finally, I'll be using Bits and Pieces Clay Stars along with Multi-Medium Matte. I'm starting off by doing the foiling, and I have the Foil It Hooray birthday panels. There are 4 different designs in the package, and you get 3 of each. Here's a look at the designs. I've got my Mink machine set to 5, which is the highest setting. That's what I find the best results with when you're doing foiling on cardstock. I cut the gold deco foil into pieces to cover the designs on the Foil It panels, and then I am putting the panels with the foil into the carrier sheet. I have a piece of cardstock in my carrier sheet to keep everything stable, and when you put the deco foil onto the panels, you want to make sure that the pretty side is facing up so you can see that pretty gold metallic color. Then send that right through your Mink machine, and once it comes out, you can peel off the foil to reveal the beautiful foiled designs. The Create & Quads is a set of 3 stencils, and if you look in the lower right corner, there is a product number and then a -1, 2, and 3. This is a suggested order of how the stencil should go. There's also a few things we're going to omit when we stencil. We're not going to stencil the quadrant with the graduation caps, and we're also not going to stencil the tassels. I've got a light layer of pixie spray on the back of my stencils to hold everything in place, and then I need to line up these panels on the back of the stencil. It's really easy to do with the alignment guides that go around the whole outside. Just line up the outside edges of your panels with those lines. The pixie spray helps hold those panels onto the stencil, but I also added Scotch removable tape to attach all of the panels together into one piece. This also gives you a really great look at which Foil It panels go with which quadrants of the stencil. I added a bit of adhesive to the backside of a grid paper placemat, and then I'm just sticking everything down just to hold everything in place. And then finally, I used a pencil to fill in the little alignment squares on the sides of the stencil, so that will be an extra guide to line everything up perfectly. I'm stenciling this first stencil with Guava ink, and for this stencil we can stencil the entire design. I'm adding ink to my brush, and then I'm using a circular motion in both a clockwise and counterclockwise direction to apply the ink through the stencil. For this next stencil layer, in the top right quadrant, you're going to want to use something to mask off the tassel openings. I used Post-it removable tape, and I just cut a strip and then cut that strip into little pieces to cover those openings. Once the openings were all covered, I stenciled this layer with Macaron ink. For the last stencil layer, I'm completely masking off that top right quadrant. You're not going to stencil any part on this layer. So I used a piece of that Post-it removable tape, and I just put it between the top left and top right quadrant because there's some stencil openings that are pretty close together there. And just remember not to stencil any of that quadrant. So if you need to even cover it up more to remind yourself, you can sure do that. And then I stenciled this layer with Granny Smith ink. Now that these panels are all foiled and stenciled, they are ready to be made into cards. I cut out all of the panels using the largest rectangle in the Stitched Rectangle Stacklets die collection, and then I used the largest rectangle in the Petite Scallop Rectangles die collection to cut out panels from coordinating cardstock, Guava, Granny Smith, and Macaron. Now it's time to put these cards together. I first added the stenciled panels onto a Petite Scallop Rectangle Stacklets panel, and then I added that to a toffee card base, and I did that for each card design. The finishing touch on all of the cards is the Bits and Pieces Clay Stars. I scattered those throughout each card design and then adhered them with Multi-Medium Matte using my Embelly Jelly pick and place tool to place them perfectly. This set of birthday cards is done, and I love how they turned out, and I just love that shimmer and shine of the foiling. I hope you enjoyed learning how I made this set of cards and how you can use the Creatin' Quads Hooray set to create birthday cards with the Foil It Hooray birthday panels. You can find all of the supplies that I used to create this set of cards in the Tailored Expressions web store at tailoredexpressions.com. Thanks so much for joining me, everybody, and I'll see you next time.